Hello, this is Kim.
And this is Andy.
And together we are the I Wonder Sisters.
Yay!
Yay! So forgive us a little bit if there's some pauses in there. We're playing with having some starting music. Okay, so we're going to try to do the very best that we can. All right, so we want to thank you all for joining us, and we'll be right back.
Any idea?
Hello, everybody. So we are back, and I believe that was called the 40th Mantra, but I'll look and see who the artist was a little bit later and put it in the description for you. It's experimental music from Free Music Archive for podcasts. So if you're looking for music for your podcast, that's a great website, and they have all genres. So we're going to just jump right into the subject today. And the first thing that we want to talk about, I guess this whole episode is really about beyond tolerance. I was going to say tolerance, but beyond tolerance, acceptance of people that may live differently from you, may have been born differently from you, the acceptance of the church, of the LGBTQ community. I'm glad I got all those letters out. And so we want to talk about today a gentleman, very quickly. His name is Ken Ham, and he calls himself a creationist. Now, Andy, have you heard that term before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what exactly does it mean?
It means someone that believes that the world was not started by a big bang, but it was created by the Lord.
Okay. Yes.
In 7 days.
Yes, exactly. In 6 days, and the seventh day, he rested.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes. I've studied the Bible 3 times, so somebody out there will be like, yay, maybe we'll convert her. No, you won't. So anyway, this story is so ridiculous. The title of it, first of all, we want to give credit to Huffington Post, because this is where we found the story. And the title of it is Creationist Ken Ham Wants to Make Sure Kids Have the Crappiest Halloween Ever. And so those of us who grew up in the Christian church know that Halloween was never celebrated. I remember as I got a little bit older, like in my early teens, when they realized that kids were actually going to Halloween parties and participating in Halloween celebrations at their school, that they were going to do it anyway. So what they decided to do was have a Christian treat. And so we would go to the church instead of going trick-or-treating, and then they would have bought all this candy. And basically it was like the same thing, except it just wasn't called the same thing. That was like their replacement of Halloween for us. And I didn't always go because I really wasn't into Halloween until actually I got much older. But the point is that the Christian church and their acceptance is really shaky. You know, it goes beyond just tolerance, because tolerance means that you are simply tolerating something. Like, it's here, it's wrong, we don't like it, it shouldn't be, but we're going to tolerate it. And what we're trying to at least work towards is more acceptance. It's never going to be
an inclusion.
Yeah, an inclusion, exactly, because it's never going to be not 100% or anywhere near it in our lifetimes, but we do hope for that, and we do work towards that and share things that we feel will help people to understand that you don't need to be afraid of difference. You know, it's something that is just a part of the human experience, and it's a wonderful part of the human experience because you can learn from people who live different lives and who were born in a different way, and there's just so much goodness to it. So Ken Ham wants to take all that goodness out, and what does he want to do?
He wants to start preaching to kids on Halloween and to include in their goodie bags pamphlets about Christ and hell and damnation and all kinds of scary things to kids.
Really scary. Not like ghosts and goblins kind of scary, but like really scary, because apparently on this pamphlet, the first part of it, or the front part of it, will of course talk about being born again and accepting Jesus as your personal Savior. This is what he believes in, and we're not knocking what he believes in, but what we are knocking is his forcing it, using a time that really he doesn't have to celebrate at all, you know, to force children to receive this information. And it clearly said in the Huffington Post article that on the back of the pamphlets, it would say to the children that if you don't accept Christ as your personal Savior, basically you're being a bad boy and girl. And it literally does say that they will be damned to hell for eternity. Now, I don't think this is like funny. I don't think it's him just sharing what he believes in. I really think it's a horrible and cruel thing to do to children. Mm-hmm. And so he's even talked about how if he doesn't get enough trick-or-treaters, he's telling Christians that they should go out on that night and knock on people's doors, and instead of saying trick or treat, you know, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm here for the Lord, you know, and give out these pamphlets anyway. Okay, so once again, forcing their religion upon people that are just minding their business and celebrating something that is a lot of fun for them. You know, the thing that Ken Ham should realize is that there are a lot of scary things that go on during that time, and they're usually just crazy humans who want to hurt children, and those safety issues of what to do and not to go inside people's houses, and to make sure that when you get back home that your parents or whoever your guardians are will check your candy, make sure everything's wrapped and all of that before you eat it. There are like real concerns about Halloween that we should be teaching our children instead of damning them to hell. So what do you think about him even, Andy, like just getting involved in the whole situation when he can really choose to ignore it?
I think it's heinous. I think that proselytes, which are people who preach their religion onto others, should be drawn and quartered, especially on a holiday like Halloween, which is for the children. It's not a religious holiday, and you can believe whatever the hell you want to believe, but you don't have to push your beliefs on others at a time like this.
Exactly, and the same thing happens during Christmas time. You know, this is the whole season of really people butting into other people's lives about how they worship and how they live and what their spiritual lives are. You know, we have Christmas coming up, and we also have Hanukkah coming up, and there are many holidays that are celebrated during this time throughout various cultures. And what most people do is, whatever their form of spirituality is, or if you don't have a form of spirituality, you do whatever your tradition is. But it's a time for people to really have fun, enjoy their family and friends, and explore what they believe and what they honor, you know, whether it be something or nothing, you know. And so we really just feel like Ken Ham needs to just back up a bit, you know, take a few seats and leave everybody alone. And I really think, like Andy said, it's pretty heinous to have literally information on the back of these pamphlets where these kids, if they do read them, they're going to go home and they're going to be afraid. You know, they're going to have a lot of questions for their parents if they are not Christians themselves, you know, and if their beliefs don't go with Ken Ham's beliefs, you know, they may be Christians, but their beliefs don't go with Ken Ham's beliefs of eternal damnation. They're going to have a lot of questions for their parents that on a night when they should just be having fun, you know, many of them are going to be extremely frightened and also confused, you know. And so we wanted to also share something very positive. And I apologize because I thought I had saved the article, so I don't remember if this church was in Iowa, and I keep seeing Iowa in my head, so that might be correct. But there is a church in Iowa who many years ago, I believe it started in 2002, where they decided, or the minister that they had there decided that they wanted to be an open and affirming and inclusive church. And so that's something that we're all looking for to happen. You know, it's something that really, really kind of, you know, balances out this whole I'm going to scare you with the devil and hell type of thing too. We realize that spirituality is something that is inclusive and not exclusive. And so I want to know, you know, as both of us being a part of the LGBTQ community, Andy, what you think about that, and do you think also, because they went down to 12 members, you know.
Yeah. As soon as they decided to be an inclusive church, a lot of their membership dwindled. And it's only in recent years that it started to come up again, because people are seeing the benefits of inclusion in their spiritual lives.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And as we stated earlier, you know, there's so much joy, really, in getting to know all different types of people, you know, whether they be gay, lesbian, bi, trans. You get to learn so much, not just about them, but about yourself and about life and about humanity, you know, and the beauty of all of the differences that we have, you know, and it's really sad because we still have this whole race issue going on. We're in the U.S. in case you're not, but we still have this issue going on of race, you know, and we all know here how long that's been going on. And of course, because of laws, that's gotten better. Because of laws, it's gotten, I think, more better because of laws than of maybe a change of heart, you know. And that's really, really like what we are looking for, working towards, trying to be a part of, is that change of heart. Now, the new minister that they have is a woman. We just want to say yay to that. Now, you know, it could be a man. He could be doing great things too. But it happens to be a woman. Her first name is Dee. I forgot her last name. I'm sorry about that.
I think it's Lundberg or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah. And she has stepped forward. And, you know, do you feel that there's a possibility that congregation will once grow again, and what is that going to be like for the people that remained?
Well, interestingly, the church exists in a very red state, a very conservative state, and in a very conservative town. And so if the numbers of the membership are going to grow, it's going to take a lot of time. A lot of time. And I think it's going to demand that this minister be as visible as she can be.
In the community.
Be interviewed, give talks, and lectures and seminars and stuff like that have nothing to do with religion itself, but all to do with being inclusive and people coming together rather than separating themselves out according to their particular philosophies. I also want to say about race that I don't think the laws that are on the books really work for race. I mean, there's been too much white on black killing and police on black killing and black on black killing. And I don't think that the laws are working very well. I believe that in many ways the U.S. has gone backwards. I mean, look who's president after all.
Yeah.
You know, if there were a racist ever, it's him. And so I think that the change of heart thing really has to happen. People have to awaken to inclusion and to a feeling of us as a whole, as a unit, rather than us and them.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly. And